Real Madrid survived what could have been one of the best comebacks we've seen in Champions League play after they were 4-0 up, and Shakhtar Donetsk did everything they could to try and make Real Madrid's life just a little bit harder than it already has been for the past week or so, ever since El Clasico. Of course, they were going to be under the microscope after their performance against Barcelona wasn't the most successful, let's say the least. So for them to come into this game and to take a 4-0 lead over Shakhtar, who aren't an easy team to play, specifically playing in Ukraine, it looked like things were really back on track for Real Madrid. Ronaldo on the score sheet, who hasn't been scored the last couple of games. It was good to see him back on the score sheet. So Real Madrid started to become all smiles once more. As their game plan to try and find the space in behind Shakhtar was working very well, as Cristiano managed to put the ball into the back of net. Then he would play provider for Modric, who put the ball into the back of net. A great move, again, from Real Madrid. Ronaldo coming across from the central position, driving in behind, down Shakhtar's left-hand side, cutting it back to Luka Modric, who put it in a first-time finish. A great result. And then the same thing again for Carvajal, utilising that space in behind, dropping it back. And a great finish for Carvajal, to say the least. The right-back coming in for Danilo, who would then be introduced, which I'll touch on in a minute, showed again that he is the superior right-back, I think, in comparison to Danilo. I don't think that he is the best defender, to be honest. Again, he's great going forward. Sometimes I think he's a little rash in his tackles, but as I mentioned, Real Madrid looking strong again, and Ronaldo grabbing his second of the game, so things were looking up. Then, but in the first half, there's a minor thing that we looked over, is Varane went off injured. And that started to make things a little thinner at the back. So they had to bring on Danilo, move Nacho into centre defender alongside Pepe and that back four. Now, Shakhtar on the counter-attack always looked slightly threatening, but then again, I didn't see Real Madrid really conceding. I seen them adding to this. But the one problem that I have seen, which carried over from El Clasico, is concentration. I think Real Madrid lose concentration in vital parts of the game. And the same thing happened against Shakhtar. They were lucky that Shakhtar didn't come back and make it even more so embarrassing by levelling up at 4-4. Danilo and Casemiro don't communicate. They lose a man inside the box for a corner. They give away a penalty kick, which they score, and they give away far too much time inside the box. And Shakhtar rapid fire and bring 3 goals back, and they turn around from what was looking like a very good day at the office into another complicated task for Real Madrid. And for Rafa Benitez, I can imagine he's going to be furious about this. He should be having words with his back line because, yes, they may lose Varane in there and they start to shuffle things around, but they've got the talent. And it does come down to that concentration. Now, it kind of flies back in my face because I stated when they would play Casemiro back in there, he provided that cover. And it did work very well up until they started to get a little bit stretched. They focused far too much on ball watching and they leave men running in behind. No communication in there between their players and amongst each other inside the box. And that's where Shakhtar found a lot of space. And that's worrying for Real Madrid. They go through, top of the group. It's still a great result for them to win the game nonetheless. But, I mean, if we're looking into the intricate details of who's going to be the team that can threaten Barcelona and Bayern Munich, who I think are the front runners right now in the competition, in form, looking great, then Real Madrid are going to have to shore this part of their game up. They look so strong defensively until Sevilla. I mean, before the Sevilla game, I was on channels like the Football Republic saying that Real Madrid looked strong at the back. Danilo looked like a good signing. And then suddenly they just become fanned out and they get complacent, and teams find it far too easy to get in behind Real Madrid's back line, as Barcelona showed. And once again, Shakhtar grabbing 3 goals. But nonetheless, 4-3 was the end result, and Real Madrid would emerge with the 3 points. So they finished top of the group. I talked about PSG. You can check that clip out, talking about how they can try and compete with the bigger teams moving into the last 16. Di Maria picking back up form. But let's move over to the Manchester teams for a little bit. Manchester United's game was summed up on Fox with their highlights. One highlight in the first half, which was a PSV chance, then one highlight in the second half with the Jesse Lingard chance inside the box. I watched the game as much as I could, but it was painful to watch. Manchester United are painful to watch this season. They don't have enough creativity in the final third. They don't look like they have any conviction when in front of goal. And it really is tough to watch a team that was so attractive at one point, great fast-flowing football in their prime. And I don't expect things to be turned around so fast for Manchester United. I'm not just here to be critical, but based on what I seen yesterday and what I seen today in the Champions League, minus PSG and a very convincing Atletico Madrid, it was hard to watch the football that was on show. Juventus, I expected it. I expected Juventus to take a 1-0 and take that under their wing and be happy, because now they can finish top of that group, which will be great for their confidence moving forward. Since the opening day, they haven't lost at home in 8 games, so they seem to be picking back up their form. But it still was a tough day at the office to watch from a football standpoint, especially when you're introduced with such great football yesterday from Arsenal, Bayern Munich and Barcelona. Seems like we were spoiled yesterday, and today we just got the leftovers, apart from the first half of Real Madrid and PSG. So to finish on Manchester City, Otamendi just gets, I would say, bullied by Mandzukic. Like, he's complaining for a foul. For one, his body shape is not anywhere near in line with the ball. He's kind of turning his body to try and keep an eye on Mandzukic as well, which is fine, but he turns himself so that any little nudge, he's off balance. He falls flat on his ass, and Mandzukic puts it into the back of the net, and Juventus were cruising. They were comfortable despite a late chance at the end for Sterling. I thought Paul Pogba was great in the middle of the park. And overall, Juventus looked the superior team. They looked comfortable at the back. They're comfortable in the chaos, which is defending at home for them. They never really, I don't think they really seemed like they were ever going to concede, whereas they could have added a couple of goals on their own to make it 2 or 3. But Joe Hart, shown once again why he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Great saves from him. So there's my roundup from this day of the Champions League. It is match day 2 of week 5. We have 1 round of games left for the Tuesday and Wednesday Champions League football before we move into the big games, the round of 16, which I'm looking forward to. I touched on some predictions early on in my PSG clip, kind of talking about which teams PSG are kind of on level with, but still, I state, and will continue, it is Barcelona, just below them, maybe Bayern Munich, and I think the teams that are next in line are a few steps down from them. So you can either agree or disagree. Let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe to TYT Sports. Check me out on Twitter @Francis_Maxwell, and come back again.